Final Four weekend is here. We're going to be reacting to the Athletics' new NBA mock draft for this upcoming draft. I enjoy reacting to these mock drafts, and I hope you guys do as well. Like always, I'll leave a link to the mock in the description below. I'm going to be giving my thoughts and opinions on each pick. If that's what I would have mocked there, would I like that pick for that team? And you can let me know in the comments if you like your team's mock pick as well, or just any other picks that were made in this article. Also, make sure to check out my podcast where I gave my new mock draft in March Madness. I took into effect some of these prospects draft stock if either it was helped or hurt throughout the tournament. And I also did my MLB predictions with Giraffe Neck Mark, if you know who that is. It was really fun. Link to Spotify and Apple Pod links are in the description below, as well as the YouTube or video version of it. It's unlisted, link in the description. I thought I wasn't going to upload it public just so it's not on your subscription feed, because that's not maybe why you're coming to this channel. But yeah, you can take a look at that in the description below. So he's got Detroit #1 in this mock. So no surprise, it's Victor Wembanyama. We don't really need to go into him too much, but it'll be interesting to see how they kind of allocate those minutes in that front court. If they were to bring back Jalen Duren, James Wiseman, Marvin Bagley, Isaiah Stewart, maybe they look to move Isaiah Stewart in the offseason like they did Saddiq Bey this past trade deadline, and they maybe go with Wemby at the 4, which I think he could be best utilized at, but Bagley backing him up, and then at the center position you have Jalen Duren start, who I think should definitely start, and then Wiseman backing him up. No brainer here at #2 with the Houston Rockets. I think they are a perfect Scoot Henderson team. They need that long-term franchise point guard to be there next to Jalen Green. I think he's going to project to be a physical defender. He's not like undersized at 6'2" by any means, but he is a physical guy, and I think he could project to being a very good, strong on-ball defender, and that's kind of what you need next to Jalen Green, and someone that can facilitate, set up that offense, and you're looking for somebody long-term. So Scoot Henderson is the pick. But yeah, just having like Scoot there at the 1, Green at the 2, and then maybe you move Jabari Smith to the 3, Tari Eason at the 4, and Şengün at the 5. I love that team, but we'll see if it's going to be better next year. I'm sure they're going to have a new head coach. I briefly talked about Brandon Miller here to the Spurs. They're a team that I was like, okay, should they make this selection? Because they are a team that could be in the point guard market. Amen Thompson still on the board here at 3. They have Malachi Branham, Blake Wesley, obviously Keldon Johnson and Devin Vassell, Jeremy Sohan at the 4. They have a lot of those guys between the 2 and 4 positions, but you know what? It's a good problem to have all these young wings. I think like for the Pistons, have all these young big men. Like, it's not going to stop you taking Wemby. I don't think it should stop you from taking Brandon Miller at 3. This is pretty much my consensus 1, 2, and 3. I'm still Scoot over Miller. I think a lot of people were jumping the gun on Miller over Scoot, but I've been Miller as my #3 guy the whole season. So him going 3 is perfect for that. We have Charlotte going Amen Thompson. Now, this was a debate that I kind of had with myself. Do you like Charlotte at 4 or excuse me, Amen at 4? I'm not going to spoil every pick from my podcast and say what I had, but this could maybe be a Jarace Walker's selection. Maybe they look at a different wing here, maybe a Sor Thompson, but you know what? I think you try to make it work with Amen Thompson and LaMelo Ball. He's not really going to be able to space the floor, so I'm trying to think what he would be best utilized at if LaMelo is that primary ball handler, but maybe you let Amen Thompson share a little bit more of that rock, being somebody that could set up LaMelo, be the facilitator, and maybe LaMelo can come off the ball a little bit. Maybe it can help with his injury kind of proneness that he's had a couple injuries throughout his career. At least this year he was brutalized with injuries. So Amen Thompson, first of the Thompson twins, going here at 4 to Charlotte. And then he is Cam Whitmore to the Magic at 5. It's going to be interesting to see if Cam goes above like a Sor Thompson, who I just mentioned, coming out of Nova. I think he'll need a little bit of time to develop. I'm a little bit scared about his jump shot, and I think like the Magic do need somebody that could develop their shot here at 5. And maybe that's not a Sor Thompson, because he's going to be a work in progress as well with his 3-point shot, because you kind of want somebody that could space the floor and play out wide when you have Banchero maybe in the post or in isolation, or Franz Wagner in isolation as well. So you want to be a guy that can be a supporting piece for those 2 players, and like you can get into like the Grady Dix of the world, somebody that you think could be a good spot-up shooter. Maybe you think that Cam Whitmore could be that guy, but he's maybe somebody that wants to be more of a physical presence inside, just due to his athleticism, size, and frame. So I don't love the fit of Cam Whitmore to Orlando, to be honest with you. So now we have a Sor Thompson going to the Wizards at 6. I don't love this. Now, if Washington could maybe get Charlotte on the line and be like, Charlotte, would you just rather have a Sor Thompson, but we'll give you maybe a pick or Johnny Davis or somebody, I don't know about Johnny Davis, to move up from 6 to 4 so they can go get Amen Thompson, their point guard for the future. Because the Sor in Washington is interesting. Now, for this case, you would probably move Bradley Beal to the 1, a Sor at the 2, and then you have Kuzma, KP Gafford, or you could probably have Denny at the 3. I think that would be a little bit better. Kuzma at the 4, KP at the 5, which is fun. The Johnny Davis pick really didn't work out. Or, no, no, Corey Kispert at the 3, Kuzma at the 4, and then KP at the 5. So, you know what? I think getting a Sword Thompson, they need somebody with a high ceiling, even if it's a low floor. Like, they can't take somebody that's going to be another, like, just middle-of-the-road player that's just maybe will be average. Like, just because you're going to take somebody with a low ceiling and a high floor, I don't think that's what Washington needs. They're stuck with the Beal contract. It looks like they're going to re-sign KP. They want to re-sign Kuzma. You kind of need to swing for the fences on this pick and hopefully get, like, a transcendent NBA player with number 6. Not saying draft, like, the next Giannis here, but, you know, it's somebody that, like, goes not in the top 5, like a Josh Giddey or Franz Wagner that has a higher ceiling. Portland at 7, they get Anthony Black. I like this, you know, I'm a fan, but with Jarace Walker still on the board, I think I would go with him because he could be a physical guy that could play the 4 or the 5. He is Jarace Walker kind of falling here. Like, I would even think about that if he was on the board with the Washington pick. But Anthony Black here to the Trailblazers at 7. I think this would make sense if they were to trade Damian Lillard. I don't know if he's going to really progress all that well because Dame's going to be getting most of the point guard minutes. Then you have Shaedon Sharpe and Anthony Simons as well in that backcourt. But he is 6'7". He could be out there with those guys, and he's going to project to being a really good defender. He's a good playmaker, and maybe he just leads your bench unit. But I don't know if he's somebody that Portland needs. Now, yeah, he could be a guard and a wing, but maybe you look at somebody that could be more of a wing defender, or, hey, take Jarace Walker. He's on the board here at 7. And I think the Pacers get a home run of a pick at 8 because you would have Tyrese Halliburton, Andrew Nembhard, Benedict Mathurin, Jarace Walker, and Miles Turner, where you can have Buddy Hield instead of Nembhard. And that's a fun-ass team, man. That could be definitely a high-playing tournament team next year if Halliburton keeps developing and Turner is kind of sticking in his prime right now. And him and Walker can be that front court because I think Walker would eventually be a good three-point shooter in the league. He didn't shoot that bad at Houston last year at all for somebody of his size and playing at the 4. Because if you're going to get somebody that's going to shoot above 30% from 3 as your power forward, you got to take that, man. You do. And I think this is one of my favorite picks here. If Walker falls to Indiana, I just don't think he does. I think he's going to go in the top 5. Like, I think you have your Wemby, your Scoot, your Miller in your top 3. And then, honestly, there could be a case for him at 4. Him and I think Amen Thompson are going to be around 4 and 5. Maybe a Sore gets in there and he's 6, but I just don't see him falling to 8. 9, we have Orlando getting Taylor Hendricks. I love this. I think his Hendricks does have a little bit of floor spacing ability. He was really good this past season at UCF. He's a good rim protector, kind of shot blocker as well. And maybe there's some hype that he goes above Jarace Walker at this time because everything I just mentioned about Jarace Walker, Hendricks can kind of do as well. Just Walker did it on a better team, a little bit more eyes on him. They were in the same conference, but UCF was not good this year. That's why maybe you haven't heard of Taylor Hendricks, but he was somebody that was not going to be a first-round pick going into the season, and his draft stock has just skyrocketed over the last couple of months. I think Hendricks is a for sure lottery pick just because of his positional fit and his versatility there at the 4/5 who could space the floor and be a good defender. I'm not saying he's going to be like a Jaren Jackson Jr., but just like those traits there are so valuable than taking like maybe another guard that can't really shoot. So yeah, Hendricks I think could end up being in the top 10. Orlando there, I like that a lot because you could maybe run some lineups with him at the 5 or even move Banchero to the 5, have him in there with Franz and go a little bit bigger, which it seems like they like to do. So I really like this pick for them. Toronto at 10 getting Cason Wallace. Now this is a player that I mentioned in my pod. Go check it out. Link in the description, another plug of that. That rose his draft stock and helped it out so much throughout the tournament. Cason Wallace, like some of the other guards, didn't play all that well throughout the tournament. Wallace definitely helped out his draft stock. I'm taking that into account in my big board, in my mocks, and him to Toronto. I think they're a team that could look for a point guard. We'll see if Fred VanVleet comes back. And if not, Cason Wallace could definitely be that point guard for the future. I think there's a good chance he goes, honestly, I thought above Anthony Black, but Sam Vecini of The Athletic does not believe that. But if he falls to Toronto at 10, I like that for him to go around that range as well. Utah at 11, Grady Dick. Oh, man, I love this. Now, if you would have told me like that Orlando just ended up with Grady Dick and Taylor Hendricks, I'd be like, you know what? I don't mind that. It's definitely guys with maybe not the highest ceilings in the world, but definitely complement what they're doing around Franz and Banchero. But this is for Utah. Obviously, I'm not going to go into Orlando here, but Grady Dick is somebody that I love. If you're not going for somebody that's going to be a top 20 scorer in the NBA one day, but somebody that could end up being an off-ball guy that could be a perfect complementary piece to what you're doing, maybe similar to a Corey Kispert. I feel like you can get a lot more out of him in the NBA than maybe he did at Kansas because he was playing with like Jalen Wilson and a couple of those other upperclassmen that were better than him in collegiate basketball. But for Grady Dick, you can really unlock his potential as an off-ball scorer, off-ball shooter, because he can be an elite shooter at that in the NBA, maybe like Kevin Huerter one day. And if you're getting that at 11, that's a steal. I really love this pick at 12. We have the OKC Thunder selecting Jordan Hawkins, probably the guy that has helped his draft stock out the most throughout the tournament. He's still in the Final Four as I'm recording this. The Final Four has yet to happen, and he is the best player on the UConn Huskies, who are just dominating the tournament. And Hawkins was looked at as like a kind of like in the 20s as a first round pick, and there's a good chance he's going to go in the lottery for his 3-and-D potential in the NBA. So I think the Thunder could be looking for somebody a little bit older coming in, because they have a lot of young talent there, like Giddey and Chet, and how great Jalen Williams has been for them this year. They've been just like acing all their draft picks. I'm excited to see what they are with Chet next year, and Jordan Hawkins, chef's kiss on that. New Orleans taking Jalen Hood-Schifino. Man, this looks similar to my mock draft. This does. I don't know. I did. I forget, because this is where I had Nick Smith and Schifino questioning at number 13 in New Orleans, because they kind of need that point guard that could maybe replace McCollum. We don't know if Dyson Daniels is going to be that true one. Maybe he's a guy that could be more of a shooting guard, just like a wing defender with his size. But you could look at Jalen Hood-Schifino, who's helped his draft stock out a ton over the last couple of weeks for Indiana. And he is pretty young, and he can come in, be a nice playmaker for whatever team he's on next. I think he could be a nice pick there at 13 to the Pelicans. And at 14, he's the Lakers taking Derek Lively. I don't like this at all. I think you're leaving a lot of talent on the board here. And maybe you're looking for somebody that could play next to AD in that front court, but I don't really think he definitely has great defensive potential, and that's why he's going to go most likely in the top 20. But I don't know if I love that to the Lakers at 14. I think you can go with some better options. Maybe you're looking at somebody that could be a good shooter for that team. We'll get to some guys as I'm going to go quicker in the non-lottery picks. But Derek Lively might be a little bit high. Maybe you could trade down, but it's not terrible if you're looking for somebody that could be a elite rim protector one day next to AD. Knicks taking Keontae George at 15. I don't like this at all. Keontae George is definitely a project player. He was kind of inconsistent down the stretch for Baylor, and I don't think the Knicks are really going to have the time or the patience and really the timeline to develop him, because there are Tibbs doesn't play a lot of guys. They have a lot of guys on their roster that deserve minutes, and I don't think Keontae George would really find his playing time there. We saw it with Cam Reddish. 16 Atlanta taking Nick Smith. Now they do need some backup guard help, so he could be that guy. He's somebody that was similar to Darius Garland when he came out of Vanderbilt in the 2019 draft, who we didn't get to see a lot from in that collegiate season due to injury. Same with Nick Smith this year. Did not play well at all in the tournament, especially on the offensive end, but the potential is still there. That's why he's going to be a top 20 pick, but his draft stock definitely took a hit from the tournament. Leonard Miller, Utah Jazz. This guy's improved so much in the G League Ignite this year. Looking like a good scorer, a good rebounder, definitely raw prospect coming in. But if this guy could develop a shot, or at least some shot creating ability, like a 6'10 forward, you know that it's going to find some value in this league. Jazz at 17, ending up with Leonard Miller and Grady Dick. It's a fun duo. We got the Warriors taking Kyle Filipowski out of Duke. I don't really love this. We'll see if he's somebody that can be works in that system, because Wiseman didn't work out. Maybe Filipowski could be somebody that could eventually shoot the ball. He didn't shoot the ball all that well this year at Duke, but he definitely, I think, has the form and the, I don't know. It just looks like the ability that he could develop a shot, like some of these guys coming out of college, you look like, can't really shoot. And then they come to the NBA and they get this player development, and we know that Golden State has a solid player development staff. He could be the pick, and maybe they do need some big man depth, and possibly Draymond leaves, so they just need to fill out those minutes at the 4 and the 5 spot. Rockets at 19, taking Bryce Sensabaugh. I guess, yeah, they could use another wing. Looking at a score here, and I wonder if it's going to be somebody that can find minutes next year, because they have Kenyon Martin. They're going to have Tari Eason. We'll see if Jason Tate's still in that rotation. Maybe use that cap space somewhere else. But I think Bryce Sensabaugh at 19, really good value. I think they could even look at somebody that's going to the Nets here at 20, Chris Murray. I think he could be somebody that could look like a Golden State pick. Hey, maybe even a Lakers pick at 14, because he's NBA ready, coming out of Iowa. Not as good as his brother Keegan Murray, but somebody that could be a really good shooter right away. Maybe similar to Corey Kispert was for the Wizards a few years ago. Kobe Bufkin, this is the highest I've seen him out of Michigan, higher than Jet Howard, his teammate, which I have yet to see. So this seems a little bit high for Kobe, but he could end up being somebody that people fall in love with in the pre-draft process, because he's young, he has the potential, he has kind of the intangibles of being a solid point guard in this league. And if you're kind of looking at somebody that could be like that at 21, not saying he's like Emmanuel Quickley or Maxey, but you're kind of looking at those guys that have a very high floor, that it's okay, this is a great safe pick. Whatever we get more out of his floor is just house money at that point. So yeah, maybe this is a pick for the Nets at 21. I have yet to see him this high though. Oh, Dariq Whitehead, man. This is going to be such a hard guy to have an eye on him. And I would say Nick Smith and GG Jackson are the three guys that I think are the most polarizing in this draft, or at least coming out of college. Whitehead at Miami at 22. I think they're a team that needs to hit on this pick as well for somebody that could be like a higher ceiling. Jimmy's not getting any younger. They're not going to have a lot of cap space going forward since they're paying Jimmy, Bam, Hero, and unfortunately Duncan Robinson and Kyle Lowry a lot of money. So they kind of need to be a team that hits on this draft pick because their bench is thin as hell. They can get him on the rookie deal. Jovic didn't show a lot throughout his rookie season. Whitehead, though, injury-riddled season at Duke, was a top prospect, top recruit coming in. We'll see if teams still can see that potential in him. Ryan Rupert to the Blazers at 23. They get this in the Josh Hart trade. I love this. I think if he falls to 23, you got to take him. I think the Knicks pick before that was, I guess, the one via Dallas. Doesn't look like it's going to be picking that low, though. So, because the Mavericks can't win a freaking game and it's top 10 protected. But Ryan Rupert at 23 for the Blazers. This is great. Trade Damian Lillard. Develop him. I like that. Kings getting Jett Howard at 24. This is some of the latest I've seen him go. His tournament play really didn't help out a lot. His conference tournament play because they didn't make the NCAA tournament. He looked a little bit passive, but I think I don't know. I think for the Kings, at 24, you're looking for somebody that could be a good defender in the league because their offense is great already. They're going to be bringing most of their quarterback next year. You could look for some guys that can give you some defensive help. I don't know if Jett's going to be that guy right away. Noah Clowney going to the Grizzlies here at 25. I love his physicality that he could bring to you at the 4, at the 5. And if he could develop his three-point shot similar to what he shot, similar to what Filipowski shot at Duke this past season, I kind of like him more than Filipowski just because I think he could be a better defender than Kyle. So, yeah, I think Clowney to the Grizzlies at 25 is great, and they've had some injury kind of concerns with their front court with Steven Adams and Jaren Jackson Jr. in the past, so you can look to shore that up there, and Brandon Clark as well. Pacers getting GG Jackson and Jarace Walker in this class. I don't know if I would take, or let Gregory GG Jackson fall this late. He was somebody that was a kind of a top recruit, goes to UNC, decommits, starts off really good at South Carolina, then struggled, and obviously they didn't have a great season. He's a good ball handler. It looks like he could be a good shooter / shot creator in the league, and just seeing that at 26, like an 18-year-old, I don't think he falls that low. I think he's going to be a top probably 22 pick. Some people have him in their top 10 of their big boards. And then obviously there's a lot of parity with where GG Jackson could potentially go in this draft. And I think at 26 is an absolute steal. I don't think he's going to fall that far. Julian Strawther, we all saw the big shot he made against UCLA, going there at 27 to the Hornets. This is via Denver. I guess you can look to get a grown-up rookie in the room there in Charlotte because they've been drafting kind of a lot of younger guys. They're getting a Amen Thompson. This isn't a terrible pick, but somebody that's going 28, Maxwell Lewis, I'd kind of look into him a little bit more. I like his scoring ability, especially at the rim out of Pepperdine. I think this would be a great draft for Utah if you're ending up with Grady Dick, Maxwell Lewis, and Leonard Miller. We have Colby Jones coming out of Xavier to the Pacers with their third first-round pick. I don't know if he's going to be a for sure first round pick. Him and Hawkins were very similar, and Terquavion Smith. And then obviously I don't know if he's helped out his draft stock a lot in the tournament. And he's a little bit older, but he's a good scoring wing. It looks like he's efficient. I think that's going to be good enough for him to go in the late first or early second. And Marcus Sasser going in the first round to the Clippers there. They could use, I don't know, because Bones Highland really hasn't worked out in the trade. I don't know if Russ is going to be back next year, and Terrence Mann, I'm sure they would like to develop into their point guard long term. Sasser definitely on the older end, senior coming out of Houston. I think I would go for somebody a little bit with higher potential to the Clippers. He also posts a second round mock here as well, which can get kind of crazy in this. He even has Zach Edey going here. I feel like Zach Edey might stay at Purdue, but maybe he can't even. I don't know. But yeah, basically the article is in the description below if you want to read it yourself. I love reacting to these mocks. I hope you guys do as well. Drop a like if you did enjoy. I love you guys, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.